spent years trying every diet and the scale only went up. Then May 2nd, 2025, I took my first Zepbound shot. 30 days later, I was 20 pounds lighter, and that was the fastest I had ever lost weight. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what happened that month, what I went through, the changes that I've made, how it affected me, and some of the pitfalls that I kind of avoided for the most part, and hopefully you can too. So let's go. What's going on, guys? It is Chris, and welcome to my channel where we talk all things GLP-1, weight loss, and lifestyle changes in order to live a healthier and happier life. I am beyond that first month in my GLP-1 journey, but I'm going to talk about that today, kind of a recap of what all went down, and hopefully it'll help somebody out there with their journey, because a lot of times you don't know what you're getting into. You may not know what to look out for, what to avoid, and, give you an idea of maybe what's possible. So my weight loss journey is different from yours and anybody else's. So don't hold it as an exact, carbon copy in order to have the same kind of results. Some people will have greater results, slower results, what have you, and you're going to move at your own pace, and that's fine. I made changes that other people have refused to make until recently, and I probably didn't make the changes I should have right off the bat, and that's okay. Again, hopefully me sharing this with you is going to help you out long-term with your journey. And that's, again, why I'm doing this. Now, if you haven't already seen my first video, I do highly recommend that. I'll have that link down in the show notes below. Very much so recommend that, so you kind of know who I am and what my journey's been like and what my weight loss has been over the period of, 6 months, 8 months, what have you. So you can get an idea of where I'm at and what I'm doing. But again, everyone's journey is different. And I try to reiterate that over and over again. So don't expect the same results from each and every person that you tune into and listen to. Now, one of the things I'll say is one of the other GLP-1 advocates, I don't know if you want to call her an influencer or me an influencer, definitely not. But another GLP-1 advocate I've watched for quite a while now is Nikki over at the GLP-1 Girl Code. Now, that's not what the channel was called when I started watching it. Even if it was, I'd probably watch it anyway. But she and I have different opinions about some things, and one of them I'm going to get into right now. But she's awesome. If you're not following her, you're really missing out. She covers some great stuff. Like I said in my very first video, I do like watching different creators, even the ones that are speaking to the ladies, because there's still something in there that I can grab onto and learn from. So I do, again, my little phrase is Frankenstein your monster. So there's going to be things that you might find from her, or like Paul that I was talking about earlier as well, that he covers some things, or I may cover some things, or, whoever. And you may find little bits and pieces from everybody that you like. Put them together, Frankenstein your monster for what's going to work for you and get you the best results. But one thing that Nikki has been big on, and again, go back and watch my first video to know where I'm coming from, so you'll kind of understand this part. But she says, do not put off starting the GLP-1s. Go ahead and get on the GLP-1, and then start working on adjusting your diet and your lifestyle and everything like that. But the big thing is get on the GLP-1 first. I'm going to say the opposite of that for this reason only. If you are going to have to go out there and purchase and pay for your prescription, subscription, what have you, to get on a GLP-1, yeah, I would not hold off. I would do exactly what she's saying. Now, that's where she is. She does that herself. She funds it herself. She pays for it. And so, getting on it and then making your adjustments is way smarter than putting it off. So I do agree with her 100% in that regards. Now, if you are like me and you can't afford it, and you are getting the opportunity to get on the medication through insurance, my thing was there's no guaranteed that I'm going to be on this medication, forever, or that I'm going to have the access to it, or the insurance is going to keep covering it, or they're not going to change the pricing and I'm going to get priced out of it. So I wanted to make the biggest impact I could. I wanted the best return on my investment, right? Even though I'm not, directly investing, like some of you may be doing. So for that purpose, I think it's better to go ahead and start adjusting things prior to getting on it. Because again, my assumption is, what if I'm only on it for a limited time? I only have a limited window to make a difference, and I don't want to waste any of that time, and I want to make the most of that time. So because of that, I had already had the gears turning and already had some lifestyle changes going anyway, but I just couldn't stick to them because I needed that help from the GLP-1 that we get as far as like silencing the food noises goes, or curbing the appetite, those things, actually feeling full, which again, I've never felt full until I took my first dose. And about 2 days later, I felt full for the very first time. Not stuffed, full. And again, I've never felt that before. So this was new. So definitely getting on a GLP-1, you learn things. You learn things about your body, and you have to start listening, because the sooner you start listening and making those adjustments, the sooner you're going to start seeing the results. And really, to me, that's the big thing, is making those adjustments, listening to your body, relearning how to do that, and learning those signals that you're getting, so that way you can eventually possibly get off that medication and start living your life just, like all these other people that we see doing it, that can go to an all-you-can-eat buffet and not gain a pound. I think about a biscuit and I gain 5 pounds. It's just how it is for some of us, okay? So again, my thing is, if you are going to get on the GLP-1 and you're going to get a prescription for it, and it's going to be covered by your insurance, to me, to make the most impact, I think it's not a bad idea to go ahead and start, adjusting your diet, start coming up with a routine, a plan. A great saying is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So having a plan in place, go ahead and start meal prepping or meal planning. We'll get into all that later on. But whatever it is you're wanting to do when you're on the GLP-1, go ahead and start doing that. Go ahead and try yourself to start making those micro adjustments, to start moving in that direction. A couple of reasons for that. One, again, you get the more bang for your buck when you are on the medication, I think. And two, something that I learned at an early age. My dad was a mechanic, and he taught me enough to be, efficient, I guess, with some stuff, but he didn't want me to learn how to be a mechanic, because he wanted me to work. He said, I want you to work with your brain, not your hands. So I turned into a nerd. As I mentioned before, I am an IT guy. So I don't really do anything physically with the computers. I'm more support desk kind of, person at the moment. But I've built all my computers. I like that. I like tinkering around with them. And it's kind of like a mechanic for computers, I guess. But one of the things that he taught me, and this has carried over into a lot of facets of life, not just the IT world, but in the GLP world, weight loss, whatever as well, is when you're making changes to anything, make one change at a time. Make one change at a time, because if something isn't working, or you get some kind of weird side effect, you can pinpoint it to, when did this start? Okay, it started when I changed this. And that's been huge for me. So when I started on the GLP-1, I already had the diet kind of going in the right direction. I was already meal planning and meal prepping. I was tracking stuff. And so I then introduced the GLP-1. And then I could see what had changed in my weight, what changed in my feelings, and how I was doing, any side effects or anything like that. And that would help me pinpoint, that the GLP-1's the issue, or maybe it's not, or what have you. And I did not go to the gym right away. That's something else that, again, some of you may already be doing, or you may want to go ahead and do, and that's fine. For me, again, because I'm a nerd, I like my data points. So I like to be able to track that, okay, I started my GLP-1 on this date, and for a month, this was my weight loss. This is how I felt. This is how everything worked out. And then the following month, I said, okay, I'm going to introduce the gym. And then I started the gym the second month that I was on a GLP-1. Then I could start tracking that and seeing the differences that made. So again, to each his own. Frankenstein your monster, what you like, what you don't like. But I do recommend starting before you get on the GLP-1, if you can. If you've already started the GLP-1, it's perfectly fine, of course. Do what you do. But yeah, I'm in the boat of trying to go ahead and do the best you can without the medication, because the medication is a tool to help you. It's not the end all be all. It's not supposed to make you thin and make you healthy. It's supposed to help you get to that point, but you've got to do the work yourself. So when I started, I was on 2.5 milligrams of Zepbound. I have and still do inject only in my stomach. I rotate it. Back to the mechanic thing. If you've ever done tires, you tighten the lug nuts in a star pattern. So I will inject in the upper left and then lower right and then lower left and then upper right and kind of rotate it that way. Try not to hit the same spot over and over again. But I've never done the back of the arms. I've never done the thighs. I've had plenty of success in the stomach, so I'm just sticking with it. Try not to hit the exact same spot over and over again. Understand this, two things. When you inject in the same spot, you are injecting into potentially damaged, scar tissued, muscle, fat, whatever, and it may hurt more, and it may not have the same impact. Let me carry that over to this next point too, is that if you are feeling pain when you're injecting yourself, there's a possibility that you're going through stretch marks or other damaged tissue. So try to avoid stretch marks if you can. I know I've got them and it's kind of difficult to avoid them sometimes, but if you can avoid the stretch marks are damaged scar tissue as well. And two things. One, it's got to, really punch through it. So it's going to hurt more. And it's also going to delay, from my understanding, it's going to delay the effect of it because it's not going straight into the tissue it needs to go into. It's got to get through that scar tissue first. So you actually may lose a little bit in the effectiveness of that. So just a note to throw out there, something to think about. Some of the side effects that come with it, you guys are probably familiar with it. You got your nausea, your constipation, your diarrhea, so both ends of the spectrum there, vomiting, sulfur burps, loss of appetite. I don't know, all kinds of things. You can pull them up. There's a list of all kinds of side effects. Everybody's different. For me, I had zero side effects for the most part. I didn't have the nausea, the diarrhea, or anything like that. Not at my 2.5, not even when I went up to 5. I didn't see any true side effects until I went to 7.5. And that's where I'm currently at right now. But we'll get to that later. But when I got into it, I had no side effects at all. Maybe because I was so big. I don't know. I started at 377. I mean, that's very embarrassing, but I'm in front of a camera, so that's embarrassing for me as it is. As I've said before, I'm an internationally award-winning filmmaker, but from behind the camera. Yeah. So anyways, so I didn't really have anything. The only thing that I noticed was the sulfur burps, and I did get those pretty heavy. Bless my heart, my wife's heart. Poor girl. But yeah, I got the sulfur burps. That was fun. That was interesting. And I didn't think anything of it at first. And then when it kept happening and the strength of them, I said, oh, okay, I know what this is. This is sulfur burps. But the great thing was, aside from the side effects, it kicked in instantly, almost instantly. The food noise went away. I wasn't craving stuff. And then I can't remember if it was the first day or the second day, I'm eating. And I said, you know what? I'm actually done eating. I'm full. Two things happened there. One, the medicine kicked in, did what it was supposed to do. And another thing that I was doing was slowing down eating. I scarfed my food down, but I slowed it down so I could try to let the body catch up, signals fire off and everything like that. And it worked. I ended up eating less than I normally would, and I was full. I was happy. Everything was good. Another thing in my diet, and we'll talk about diets later on, but protein is something that's huge. It's whether you're on GLP-1 or not, protein is, it's kind of the big dog as far as the macros go. Now, me, I like the idea of a balanced diet. We'll go ahead and get into the diet a little bit. I like a balanced diet. I think carbs are not your enemy, but too many carbs definitely are. Fat is good for you. There's a lot of good stuff in the fats, but I will say this, fats are more, and I'm sorry, carnivore guys, but fats are more calorie dense than anything else. When you're looking at protein, fats, and carbs, protein and carbs carry the same calorie to gram ratio, whereas fats actually have twice as many calories per gram than proteins and carbs do. So you can only eat, if you were eating just one carbs or one macro rather, you could only eat half of what you would eat for carbs or protein in fats, because fats are so calorically dense. And at the end of the day, it really is about calories in, calories out. Learned that from Coach Greg Doucette, who I also recommend watching if you're interested in that. He talks about diet a lot. He's very well knowledged in that. It can be a little rough to listen to sometimes and go off on, dramatic videos here and there. But if you can find the right videos, Coach Greg Doucette's great. But he talks about diet. He talks about exercise. Obviously, he is an IFBB pro bodybuilder. So that's something else. Getting to the gym, of course, we'll talk about that at another time. But I do recommend that as well, getting into the gym. And as much as cardio is great, and I think it's awesome to have as part of your exercising, weightlifting, even for the ladies. You're not going to get big and bulky, but weightlifting is huge. And again, we'll dive into the purpose of that and why I am really, really big on doing that later. But again, back to the macros. One of the biggest things I think people do is cut out carbs. I think it's great to lower the amount of carbs that you have, but carbs are vital. Carbs are important. When you think of what a carb is, it's carbohydrates, right? Think about the hydrates part. Water, right? Water in your muscle fibers, water throughout your whole body and everything. That's why when people cut out carbs, they lose a lot of weight right off the bat. And I did that. I cut out carbs a lot. Again, not totally, but I cut out carbs a lot because you can definitely be eating too many carbs. But I cut out carbs a lot and I lost a lot of weight really quick. And that a lot of that is water weight. You're not losing fat as fast as you think you are sometimes when you get on that scale. So don't let the scales fool you. And this channel is going to be about conquering the scale. And we're going to talk about the mindset behind some of that and how to actually interpret numbers and all that stuff when it comes to that, because it can be very misleading, good or bad. But yeah, water weight comes with the carbs. So yes, you can lose more weight right off the bat by cutting carbs. And that sounds great, but water weight's not your enemy. Right? It's okay to have carbs. Carbs also fuel your brain. There's studies out there that show that, you need carbohydrates to fuel different parts of your brain function. So don't cut out carbs. They're also really, really good. Obviously, it's the body's preferred source of fuel. So if you are going to the gym, if you are being active, it's great to have some carbs in there to get you through it. Otherwise, you could be potentially burning muscle instead of fat. But again, we'll go into all that later. Don't cut out carbs. Don't cut out carbs. I don't recommend it. Again, do your own thing. Reduce your carbs. Sure. Cut them out completely. I wouldn't. I would not do that. Again, you do, to me, want to kind of create a diet that's going to be based around what you're going to want to eat later on in life. So don't cut out stuff and then reintroduce it later, because then you don't know how to handle that. You haven't learned while you're on the medication. So again, keeping pizza in the diet's fine, but learning where and how to put it in there. Pasta, sure, yeah, why not? But like in increments, like learn how to do it properly to maintain your weight loss goals while you have the aid of the medication. Because once that's gone, you're all on your own. So to me, I like having a balanced diet. Protein, it takes longer to digest. It keeps you fuller longer. Okay. It takes more energy to digest. You actually burn more calories digesting protein than you do the other two macros. And of course, again, it's the main building block for muscle growth, which if that's something you want to do, great. I do highly recommend it. So again, balance is really the key. I focus more on calories, and I think that's great. And again, I can't really tell you what my calorie intake was. It's not going to be the same as yours. So that's something that there's plenty of videos out there from other people, and I may cover that later on. I don't know. Kind of figure out how many calories you should be eating versus how many calories you are currently eating. It's all about creating a deficit, and there's only two ways to do that. It's just like your money with income and outgo, right? You either have to create more income or cut down your outgo if you're going into debt, right? So same thing with your weight. Outgo is maybe not the right word. You're spending, right? Whatever. But your expenditures. So with weight loss, calories in, calories out. You either have to reduce the amount of calories that you're eating or increase the amount of calories that you're utilizing and burning. So again, there goes that whole going to the gym kind of thing and working out. So again, there's so many different ways to break that down, but there's only two ways to do it. Either move more or eat less. I know people get tired of hearing that, but that's the truth. That's really what it is, right? It doesn't matter if you're on a GLP-1 or not. That's how you lose weight or gain weight. If you are in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight. If you're in a calorie surplus, you're going to gain weight. Simple as that. As simple as that. So keep that in mind as we go through this. It's all about creating the balance, though, and hitting those calorie goals. So to me, calories is number one. Secondly, I plan everything around my protein. Try to get around 0.1 to 1 gram of protein per pound of my goal weight. If you listen to people, a lot of times they'll say that get around about 0.8 to 1 grams of protein per pound. For a big guy like me, that's a lot of protein. And I'm not trying to eat that much protein. I'm trying to eat that because that's too many calories for me. This is not the weight that I want. So I looked, and my goal weight, again, I started at 377. My goal weight, I know it's a big stretch, is around 180 pounds. I might be happy at 200 because of going to the gym and actually building some muscle. 200 might look right on me. It might feel good on me. It just depends. But I remember being comfortable around 180. So I'd like to get down to 180. That being said, I take 180 and I multiply it by the 0.8 or the 1, to give me a range of protein. Now, sometimes I don't hit my protein goals. That's fine because I'm trying to hit my calorie goal first. And within that calorie goals, I'm emphasizing protein. And if I hit that protein goal, great. If not, it's not the end of the world. But that's what I'm shooting for in my diet. And that's what they recommend. Studies recommend if you go out and pull them up. So I highly recommend that as well. So to kind of give you an idea of what my diet looked like, I won't go through like every meal, but just to give you an idea of some things that it consisted of, I'm going to look at my little notes here. Because again, I track everything. And in fact, I have a tracker for you guys. It is not a great tracker. It is not anything special. I don't know how to make all that stuff. So it's like a spreadsheet, but it will help you track your shot doses, your weight, your meals, all that stuff. Yes, I think you should do it in a calorie counter app. I also have the one that I use down below too in the show notes. It's called, I don't know if it's Cronometer or Cronometer. Anyways, but it's the one I use. And we actually have a video coming out. I think next I'll have a video about the different tools that I use, but all that's down in the show notes below. None of them are affiliate links of anything. They're all free. So, get her done. But my tracker that I made is down there. I'll even put it in the pinned comment so you can get to it easy. But, it's nothing special. Don't expect the world, but it is a way for you to kind of plan out your menu for the week. And then you can go in your calorie counter app and then adjust how much of each thing you want to have so you can hit your calorie goals. That's what I do. Again, you don't have to do it that way. But for me, when I'm planning out the menu for the week for the family, I pull up my sales ads. I see what's on sale. I look for the protein first and I base meals around that. And I start planning out my meals for each day, for lunch and for dinner and maybe breakfast. Make my adjustments and then go into the calorie counter app and figure out, how much of each thing I need in there. How much of, the chicken do I want versus the green beans or, white rice or whatever, it's all mathematical. I'm a nerd. Again, I like doing all that kind of stuff, but it is time consuming. So maybe that app helps you out. Not app. I don't know what you call it. Spreadsheet. Maybe that helps you out. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know, but it's free. I made it. Don't bash me. I know I'm an IT guy, but I'm not a programmer. So it's something very, very simple. But again, just an idea of some of the stuff I had in my first month that I lost, again, 20 pounds. If I hadn't already said that, and I think the title says that. So spoiler, but I lost 20 pounds in my first month. And a lot of that, it was probably water weight because of the carbs. Again, I didn't cut them out completely, as you're going to see now, but I did lower the intake of my carbs. So here's some of the things that I ate, which means these are some things that you can eat. Understand you don't have to go to grilled chicken, brown rice and broccoli, right? But I had some roasted chicken. I had steak and chicken hibachi. I'm actually having that today, by the way, steak, chicken hibachi with some white rice and some teriyaki sauce. And I got some veggies like zucchini and broccoli up in there. Good. Steak and chicken hibachi, grilled pork chops, grilled asparagus, roasted potatoes, sauteed green beans, broccoli, baby back ribs, chicken tacos, cheeseburgers, pot roast, Panda Express, tilapia, wild rice, yellow rice, scrambled eggs, chipotle steak and chicken bowls. Oh, I have a homemade recipe for that too. That's so good. It's so good. And then my wife watches a show or watched a show. It's no longer out called The Vampire Diaries. And if any of you've seen that, let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to know. I know it had a huge fan base, but it was The Vampire Diaries. And there's this fictional town called Mystic Falls, and they had a restaurant called Mystic Grill in this fictional town. Well, that fictional town's in Covington, Georgia, and we go there every so often. So for Mother's Day this past year, I took her to Covington and went to Mystic Grill because it is a restaurant now, and we ate there. And I ate some, I think it's called Southern fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and green bean. Oh man, it's so good. fat kid's so happy when he gets to go there. But she loves that little town. I like the little town too. Might retire there one day. I don't know. But you're not limited. You can eat anything. My first month, I didn't have pizza, but I've introduced pizza back into my diet. I've introduced other things back into my diet. And again, knowing how to do it is the key. Doing it in moderation, planning it accordingly, tracking it. All this stuff makes a big difference. 5-10 years down the road, you probably aren't doing any of that anymore because you've learned, you've taught yourself how to make adjustments and find when things are going out of flow. If you see the scale moving in the wrong direction, let me just readjust some things. But again, when you have the medication in your system, that is the time to utilize that to make the biggest impact that you can with the changes that you need to make. Breaking it down real quick, the weight loss from the month. Week 1, I was down 11.6 pounds. Do not expect to be down 11.6 pounds. Yes, I created a calorie deficit, which I'd already kind of gotten to anyway before the GLP-1. But again, readjusting those carbs and really putting an emphasis on the protein is something I really tweaked right there as I was starting the GLP-1. So those fine-tuned adjustments literally were just happening. So I think that is where I saw a lot of this happen, and sticking to a hard number for my calories. I lost 11.6 pounds that first week. Again, a lot of it water weight. Don't get too excited. Don't think that I'm delusional. Week 2, I was down 14.6 in total. Week 3, 17.8 in total. And by week 4, I was down 20.8 pounds in total. So that was like an average of 5 pounds a week. Again, not everybody's going to have that same reaction. Not everybody's going to lose the same amount of weight. And again, I didn't really lose that much fat. A lot of it was water weight. And again, and actually some of it was probably muscle weight too. I lost muscle because again, I wasn't stimulating my muscles and saying, I still need you, body, retain these muscles. And I certainly wasn't going to the gym and building muscles. So I probably lost some muscle weight. In fact, for every pound that you lose of actual body mass, they say, what was it? 40%, I want to say 40% of that is most likely muscle. So, you don't want to lose muscle. The less muscle you have on your body, the lower your metabolism is. The higher your metabolism, the more you can eat. So that's why it's important to maintain your muscles and to grow your muscles while you're losing weight so that you can start offsetting even more that caloric deficit. Because then as your body needs more calories, your deficit grows automatically anyway. And then once you start getting to where you want to be, you can actually start eating more and more food and maintaining that weight, which is the direction I'm going into. And I'll go into more depth in some other videos on that one. But yeah, get a balanced diet going, meal plan, meal prep. We'll break all that down again. That'll be in another video too. I'm going to try to do everything I can to help you guys. And I care nothing about being a YouTuber or documenting my journey. I don't want to see this. So, I'm hoping this helps somebody. And I've got more videos planned out. I'll get to them as soon as I can and get them put out there for you guys. So if you want to keep track of what's going on, yeah, you can hit the, buttons down below and subscribe and follow and like and all that stuff. But again, it's more about just reaching people and helping people. And I hope you got something out of this. If you're considering starting on a GLP-1, I would say, watch this video first. I'm gonna throw it up over here. This was my intro video, just so you kind of know my story of how I got into the game. And maybe some of it's relatable, some of it may not be. But again, check out the channel, check out other folks' channels. Nikki's link's going to be down below. I'll even throw Paul's link down there again too. And Greg, Coach Greg Doucette, I'll link him down below as well. But Frankenstein your monster, do it. You're going to kill it. All right. And don't forget, go out there and conquer the scale. Never let the scale conquer you. We'll see you on the next one.